And now we'll finish the setup of our volume control. We just have a few more tasks before this is all complete. For one, what we're going to be doing is setting up min and max values for our controls so that they don't move past the value of 0 and they don't move past our window. Okay, basically so they don't move past our GUI window. So for our min, we know that we're not going to want to go past 0 then, so we'll leave our min at 0 as far as the limit. For the max of our limit, what we can do is go to our front view, and the way we've set this up, or should have set this up, is just so that we can get to this next grid point right here, this next origin, this next point, yes, in our grid, prior to leaving our GUI window. So if we were to select that control and snap it up to this next point on our grid, notice how we'll get a value of 3, and we don't want to go past that. So again, we don't come out of this GUI, so we can keep everything presentable. So we know that our max now is going to be 3 for each of our controls. So now that we've established all of those values, let's go ahead and apply them. Starting with our first control here, we'll hit Control A to get to our attribute editor, go to our first tab, scroll up, go to our limit information, close rotate, won't need that, open up our translate, and let's go ahead and check our min, that's going to be 0, and then our max is going to be 3. Oh, not 0, but 3. There we go. So what this tells us is that, okay, we can't move this down, and when we move it up, it won't go past. Great. So everything's working just the way we like. So we could just bring this control back to 0 and move on to the next. With that selected, we go to our first tab, and again, we just check on our translate Y for the min, put in 0. Our max is 3. Test it out. Everything is working just fine. So we work on our last control then. We select that, go ahead and again do the same step. Nothing much to it at all. Test it out. Great. So we now have that set up. What's going to be our next task? Well, that's going to be to make sure that this moves correctly with the rest of our character. So what I like to do is actually apply this right underneath the scale, our group scale that we have to scale the whole entire character, just so it'll move along with him. So we can go to our outliner view, our perspective outliner view, and with this curve, with it selected, making sure that the main group is selected, okay, or the GUI window, we can go to our scale, our character scale, or actually, since this is a control object, we can put it right underneath our control object category. So with it selected, we'll control click control objects and hit P to keep everything organized. So now what we get is as we scale our character, notice everything will scale the way we need it to. So we can make them a giant, or we can make them small, and everything will move just fine. Great. Well, what we can do also to improve this even further is go ahead and set up a switch to turn this on and off. We may not want this on all the time. So what I like to do is go to our center of gravity, since this is pretty much where our spine is, and it would probably be appropriate to add that switch there, but we'll add a visibility switch. What we can do is with our center of gravity control selected, we can make a custom attribute. So we'll go to modify, make a custom attribute. Remember, start off with a category name, so it's going to be displayable. And we can call the category, let's say we call it the show, and then squash or SQU, and then STR for stretch, and then GUI for GUI. So we'll hit add, and notice we have it right here. Now as far as our visibility, we can make that a Boolean, and we can just call it viz, and hit OK to close this out. So right now it's set to off. So what we can do from here is just go to our connection editor, making sure our center of gravity control selected first, so we can go to the driver side. We'll select viz, then we'll go to our GUI itself, go to the right side, tie our viz into visibility. Oh, it disappears. Okay, well, if we want to bring it back, it's as simple as going back to the control and putting a value of 1. Great, so now we have that switch to turn it on and off. And what I also like to do from here is go ahead and hide this visibility because we don't need to see it. So we can just go to lock and hide, Right click, go to lock and hide. And if you wanted to, you can scale it as you need it to, or you can rotate it, translate it. So we could leave these open. We don't need to hide those at all. Well, that is the setup of our spine. So we have some nice volume control. So control our volume as our character squashes and stretches. And we've set up everything so that it will not only move the way we'd like it to, but also it will scale with the rest of our character. So this is really cool, and I do recommend going through these lessons again if you need to just clearly understand what we've just done. And we'll go ahead and stop the lesson here. In the next lesson, okay, we're going to actually look into a way where we can get a type of feature in our rig to be able to independently control this chest piece without having it being influenced by our center of gravity. So this is going to be really cool, really cartoony. So again, that finishes off this lesson, and in the next lesson we'll work on setting up that follow functionality.